Okay, so today I'm going to continue with the liberation of Gabriel King. We are on chapter 8, and if you remember yesterday, they were going to go try to help him not be scared of spiders, and when they were in the basement, the brother came. I think his name is Bruce, but I might have made that up, and scared Gabriel or Gabe, and so he ran out of the house. Chapter 8, Swamp Spiders. I'm on page 39. Frida was some miffed, which means upset. Oh, his name is Terrence. Excuse me, not Bruce. Stupid Terrence, she said. I bet the basement was on your list, and now you're twice as scared of it. Big brothers ruin everything, she muttered. We turned off onto the old dirt road, but don't worry, we still got plenty more things to cross off. That was what I was afraid of. We walked a little farther, but I stuck close to Frida. The old dirt road was worse than ever on gloomy days like this, and I was as jumpy as a flea, so another metaphor. The roots of my hair were still standing on end. Maybe we should go back to my place, I said, but Frida gave me that look again. Gabriel King, she told me, this is good practice. I bet $1 million to the old dirt road. I bet $1 million the old dirt road is on your list too, isn't it? So I said. Frida got that look in her eye. She thought for a minute, then before I knew it, she took off running. Just like that, I had tried to catch up, but Frida was way faster than me, and pretty soon I was all by myself. Frida, I hollered. There was no answer, so I stopped and stood in the middle of the road. It was silent and shadowy, and the rain was making a mist thick as pea soup. Another painting a picture with words. Frida, I said again, only this time it came out as a croak. Only there was no Frida. I looked back over my shoulder, thinking might head home again, but the way back looked just as creepy as the way forward. Shadows danced in both directions. Truck shadows, cow shadows, and huge looming Terrence shadows. My muscles froze so I could barely move. I thought about calling for Pop, but I knew he would never hear me. Instead, I took one step, then 2 steps. Then I heard it. Sounded like a freight train coming right straight at me. First the deep roar of the engine, then the bellow of the horn. I turned, and sure enough, there were 2 headlights coming closer and closer. My eyes opened wide, but I still couldn't move an inch. There was an 18-wheeler, remember, a semi, headed straight toward me. The horn sounded again, louder this time, and I tried to make my legs go so I was stuck in place. But I was stuck in place. One more minute, and I'd be a buzzard food for sure. It mean he would get hit. That's when something snapped. I sprung like a rubber band, stretched too tight, and dove into the ditch. The horn bellowed one more time, so loud I had to cover my ears with both hands. I lay flat and shut my eyes, but still felt it in my stomach as the 18-wheeler roared by with a gust of water and wind. After that, everything was silent, everything except Frida whooping in the distance. Woo! Wasn't that great? She hollered from somewhere far away. Did you hear that? You hear how he laid on that horn for us? Her voice was getting louder and louder as she ran toward me. I stood up and brushed myself off, but my legs were jello and my heart was going really fast. I felt around in the grass until I found my jar and flashlight. Frida caught up to me and skidded to a stop. Did you see that truck driver wave, Gabe? She asked, dancing around in her yellow slicker. That was the best, but wasn't exactly the word I would have used to describe it. But Frida didn't care. She was all excited. Come on, she said, let's run super fast. I wasn't sure my legs would move at all, let alone super fast, but Frida took off and I wasn't about to get left behind twice. I followed her like a calf at her heels, so another picture with words. She ran past the catfish pond and kept running until we reached the swampy area deep in the woods. You sure we should be back here, I asked. Frida waded in the muck. Yup, she said. She pulled her flashlight out of her pocket. It's perfect. I didn't want to see what was so perfect about it. There's nothing in the swamp but creepy old cypress trees with thick roots that stick out of the ground and Spanish moss that hangs down. There are slick snakes that slither by and spider webs with giant yellow and black spiders hanging in the middle. Plus, Terrence says there are corpses in the swamps, corpses of kids half-eaten by alligators. Corpses and alligators are both on my list. I tiptoed in, barely getting my feet wet, still thinking about the way that truck had barreled by. Frida, I hollered, let's go home. She was way ahead of me, shining her flashlight into the gray, gloomy trees. I followed at a distance, and as I walked, my sneakers sunk deep into the muck. It had stopped raining now, but the trees were all drippy, and every now and then an extra big drip would collect on the end of the clump of moss and wait there until I looked up so it would fall smack in my eye. You could have at least tell me what we're looking for, I yelled, but Frida didn't answer, so I stuck the jar in the crook of the old bent tree and sat down on a dead branch. It was quiet for a long time, and I started to worry Frida had been eaten until I heard her hollering, "Quick, get the jar, hurry!" "What's the matter?" "I found one. Found what?" "A spider," yelled Frida. "Come quick." I'd been hurrying, but as soon as she said that, I slowed way down. "A spider?" Frida jumped up and down, waving her arms. Her yellow slicker had belonged to Terrence first, so it was too big for her, and her arms looked like flags in the distance. So another picture with words. I stalled for a long time so the spider could hightail it out of there. First, I pretended I couldn't remember where I put the jar. Then I walked real slow like I was trying to avoid the deep spots. The jar, Frida yelled. When I finally reached her, she was standing in the front of a giant spider web that stretched the whole distance between two cypress trees. A human being caught and eaten in a web that big. Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. A human being could get caught and eaten in a web that big. I swallowed hard, hoping the spider had made its getaway, and Frida danced from one leg to the other. "Quick, give me the jar." I paused real long. "You mean this jar?" "Yes, hurry." I studied the jar, thinking maybe it needs some polishing up before I could hand it over. But I didn't have a chance to do anything because Frida grabbed it out of my hands. "I found the best spider," she said. Now, in my book, there was no such thing as a best spider. Maybe an invisible spider would be the best spider, but even that wouldn't be any good because I didn't want to think of invisible spiders crawling on me when I didn't know about it. I squinted at the web. "I don't see any spider," I said, thinking it probably took the hint and scrammed, but that's when Frida pointed up. There, right above my head, was the biggest yellow and black spider I had ever seen. It was so big and fat, I wondered how it could stay on the web without falling through. Every last drop of blood drained from my face and rushed into my toes. Frida was some excited. She reached toward the spider with the jar, but she could hardly stop fidgeting. She positioned the jar in the back of the spider and the lid in front of the spider, and then she started to move real slow. That's when I felt it on me. Spiders were famous for jumping long distances, and I could feel its hairy legs on my neck. I let loose a scream, and I started shaking and twisting, trying to get it off. Frida was yelling and hollering too, but I couldn't stop to listen. "It's on me," I yelled. "Get it off, get it off." I imagined it slipping inside the neck of my shirt, so I tore that shirt off and peeled off my overalls. I was dancing around in my underwear and sneakers, and all I could think about was getting out of that swamp and getting home once and for all. I ran as fast as I could, yelling and splashing, and with every step I took, I felt that spider on me. I ran so fast, I blazed the trail right back to the trailer park. I didn't stop moving until I reached my place. Then I flung open the door and ran straight past Mama into my bedroom, where I tore off my sneakers and underwear. I shook my whole body and watched for flinging spiders, but there weren't any. Then I stood in the front of the mirror and looked real careful. I even checked my hair to make sure it hadn't hitched right in there. Mama kept knocking on the door, saying she was going to come in. And when your mama says she's going to come in, it's pretty much true, even if you tell her you're naked and checking for huge man-eating spiders. I pulled a new pair of overalls out of my dresser, and was buttoning them up when still Mama opened the door. "Gabriel King, what on earth are you doing running through the trailer in your underwear? What happened to your overalls and shirt?" I shrugged. Truth was, I couldn't quite recall. "Were you out in the woods with—" Just like that, Frida appeared at the door. She was carrying my overalls and trying not to laugh. Mama opened the door, and Frida walked in carrying the jar with the spider. She tried to hand the jar to me, but I wouldn't take it. Mama shook her head. "I don't want to know," she said. "I just don't want to know." That was a good call on Mama's part. She went back to the living room, and once she was gone, I gave Frida a hard look. "You better not tell another living soul," I started, but Frida wasn't laughing. "I won't tell," she says. "I won't even tell Terrence if he tortured me. You just got a little spooked is all." She handed me back my shirt and overalls and glanced at the spider. "Did you get it after it fell off me?" I asked. Frida paused for a long time. "Uh-huh," she said at last. "You think we should kill it?" It makes me think that it was never on him. "You think we should kill it?" Frida grabbed the jar and held it tight in her chest. "We can't kill it," she said. We've got to make friends with it. That's how you'll stop being scared of spiders. Frida patted the jar like a puppy. You got to name him, she said. Once you name him, you'll feel like he's yours, and then you won't be scared of him anymore. That was the worst plan I'd ever heard. Frida, I said, I don't think this is such a... Frida handed me the jar and smiled the way her daddy smiled from the pulpit. Trust me, she said. You've just got to have faith. Okay, so that's the end of chapter 8, and we'll continue tomorrow. Bye.